What's up everyone, welcome to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be going over audience targeting and audience manager in Google Ads. So I'm going to go through all the different types of people that you can target with your search, display, and video campaigns, and which types of audiences are going to be the best based on the goals for your campaign. So I want to start by going over all the different types of audiences you can target, and we're going to start here. So if we're looking at this from top to bottom, these bottom portions here are going to be the most likely to convert for any of your advertisements. So remarketing and customer match, you're actually targeting people who are already existing customers, have already given you some of their information, or people who have interacted with your business already. So they're the closest to actually converting on your website. Now, the next category, these are people that are in the purchasing process. They might be researching products or services, and they're specifically looking for businesses like yours. So in-market audiences, and then custom intent and similar. And then all the way at the top, these are going to be more for prospecting. If you're trying to build brand awareness, you're trying to show people some of the products that you have or some of your existing promotions, you can target demographics, detailed demographics, affinity and custom affinity, and life events. So to go through each of these in a little bit more detail, we already have this ranked by the order that I would target them if you're trying to drive conversions and revenue. So at the very bottom is going to be your best possible results, but you're targeting existing customers. At the very top is going to be demographics, where you're just targeting ages, genders, parental status, and income. You're not narrowing it down by specific interests or anything like that. So some of the options you have: demographics, pretty obvious, ages, genders, parental status, income. Detailed demographics, you're targeting long-term life facts. So you could target people who are married or target homeowners, for example. Affinity and custom affinity, so you're targeting people based on some of their interests and habits. So for example, you can target someone who has an interest in investing. They might not currently be looking for anything related to investing in terms of a trading platform or any types of tools or services, but that is an interest that they have. Life events, you're targeting life milestones. So for example, someone who recently got married or someone who recently graduated from college, you can target them with your advertisements. Now, as we get a little bit further down, custom intent and in-market, you're targeting people with their current purchase intent. So for example, if we look at the investing interest previously, if you're targeting someone who's in market for a trading platform, that means they're looking at the different options they have in terms of buying, selling stocks, mutual funds, anything like that. So with custom intent and in market, it's people that are actively in the market for something, whereas affinity and custom affinity are just people's interests and some of their habits that they've shown in the past to Google. So Google puts you in these broad interest categories. Similar audiences, so these are built based on your remarketing lists or your customer match lists. Similar audiences are automatically built by Google Ads, and you can target them. They're very similar to lookalike audiences in Facebook ads, where Google Ads goes out and finds people who are similar to the people that are on one of your remarketing lists. Now, remarketing, people that have interacted with your business, they might have watched a YouTube video on your YouTube channel. They might have recently subscribed to your YouTube channel. They might have visited your website. They might have visited specific pages on your website. So you can create lists based on all of that information and then target people with advertisements. And then last but not least is going to be customer match. So with this, you're uploading actual data into Google Ads, and it's going to come up with a list of people based on the data that you enter. For example, if I'm running an e-commerce store, I can upload the actual data from people, their email, first name, last name, zip code, phone number, all of that information, and Google Ads is going to match that information to actual people that are on the Google Display Network or in the Google Advertising Network at all. So now I'm going to go through each of these in a little bit more detail, and we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So with customer match, there are some limitations for your account. So if we come over here, the first thing you want to do with customer match is you want to go to tools and settings and come to shared library and then audience manager. So in there, you can see all of your remarketing audiences that you've created, custom intent and custom affinity. So you can create those right here under custom audiences. And then if we come back over here to remarketing, we scroll down a little bit, you're going to see some similar audiences here as well. And then another example, if I switch over to my Surfside PPC tutorial account, you can see I've linked my YouTube channel. So you can see under audience sources, we have YouTube here. If we come back over to our Farmhouse Goals Google Ads account, we come to audience sources. You can see here, we have our Google Analytics account linked. So you can collect data from a bunch of different sources: Google Analytics, Google Ads Tag, App Analytics. So you can actually target people who have recently used your mobile app or have recently downloaded your mobile app, Google Play, YouTube, and Ads Data Hub. So you can take all this information to create audience lists like your remarketing audiences that you can target with your advertisements. So again, what I'm going to do real quick is come back over to Surfside PPC. If we come over here to lists, you can see I have lists. I have a customer list uploaded. I can't actually use it in this account. So the reason I can't use it in this account is because there are limitations when it comes to customer match. So if we come back over and we look at customer match, you need to have spent at least $50,000 in total lifetime spend to use customer match audiences. So if you haven't done that, which I have not in either of these tutorial accounts, I can't actually target these people as they're on the Google Display Network or with any of the other advertisement types. Now, once you do reach that, what you can do is you can come back over here to your audience manager, click on the plus sign, and then down here, you're going to see customer list. So if you click on the plus sign here, what you can do is upload emails, phones, and or mailing addresses. So what you can do is download the template here, and you're going to see these are some of the different headers of your template. And then all you need to do is upload this data. So the way this template looks, if we look at it, you're going to see email. So essentially you could just create something where there's an email column and you don't need any of this other information. But what you want to do is upload all the information you have about your customers. So you have email, first name, last name, country, zip, and phone. So you want to use this format. And if you just collect emails, for example, you can just upload something that looks like this with a large list of emails. And what Google Ads is going to do is match it to actual people on the Google Ads network. So coming back over here, that's at the very bottom, customer match, where you can target customers. Next is going to be remarketing. So I'm not going to go through the actual process of setting up remarketing for your business. I'll do that in a follow-up video in a little bit more detail. But what you need to do basically is if we come over and we come back to our Google Ads account for Farmhouse Goals, you can see audience sources. I have my Google Analytics account linked to my Google Ads account, and doing that, I can create audience lists in Google Analytics. So if we just come over and we'll look at a quick example. So Farmhouse Sinks, I can target people who have visited specific pages on my website that contain farmhouse sinks. So I have the broad page here. I have people who have visited my Farmhouse Copper Sinks page. So there's a lot of different ways to create these types of audiences, and then I can target people with my advertisements as I create them. So essentially what you need to do is set up your sources. So the easiest way to do it, in my opinion, is just using Google Analytics. Create lists in your Analytics account, and you can do that by going to Analytics, coming down to Audience Definitions, and clicking on Audiences. And from there, you can create a variety of lists, whether it's everybody who's visited your page or people who have visited specific pages on your website. Now, an easy example, all users 540 days. Anybody who has been to my website over the last 540 days, I can now target with my advertisements. So it's really easy to set up remarketing audiences, and using customer match and remarketing are going to be the best ways to drive revenue and conversions from your Google Ads account. But the downside is you're reaching people that have already been familiar with your business. So I would say if you're using these two audiences here, I would target them with a promotion, maybe a new product. So these are existing customers or people that have shown interest in your business. So give them some reason to come back and actually purchase from you. Now, next is going to be similar audiences. So these are really easy. All you need to do is essentially set up your remarketing lists. And once you come in here to Audience Manager, we scroll down, you're going to see similar audience is automatically created. So every type of remarketing list that we create, there's also going to be a similar list created. So if we just look here, my similar to converted audience, this size is 16K to 590K. And Google Ads went out and found the people that are the closest to the people that have already converted on my website. So they're looking at interests, behaviors online, different things that people search, the different websites they visit. So they're going to take all of that data from my converted audience. So you're going to see converted up here at the top. So anybody who has converted on my website, they're going to find the people that are the closest to them across the Google Ads network. And now you can see I can use them for my display campaign, 500K to 1 million people. I can target with my advertisements right now, and they should be very interested in my products in my website, farmhousegoals.com. So if we come back over here, the only way to target these similar audiences is to create remarketing lists, create customer match lists, whether it's with your YouTube channel or it's with people who have visited your website. Next are going to be custom intent and in-market. Now, what I want to do with a lot of these next ones is I'm going to open up an actual display campaign and show you how you can target some of these different options within your display campaigns. So if we come back over and we open up our display campaign, let's just say we want to create a new ad group. One of the first options you're going to have are people who you want to reach. So once you come in here, you're going to see edit targeted audiences. So if we come over to browse, you're going to see all these different categories here. So you can browse by each individual category by just coming over to this tab. If we come to ideas, Google Ads is going to give you ideas based on advertisers like you. So if we scroll over here and we look at home decor, This is an in-market audience for home decor, and some of the top related audiences here as well: curtains, window treatments, fireplaces, lights and fixtures, top YouTube categories. So essentially I would be targeting people who are in the market for home decor. Now this is going to be a very broad audience, but it is something I can target. One thing that might be better is if I send people specific bedroom advertisements and then I target this in-market audience. Now the other thing you can do is, if you're not looking for anything specific, you can come in here to search, and I can just search farmhouse, for example, and we can see what comes up from the list. And you're going to see one of the main things that comes up is an auto-created custom intent audience for farmhouse decor. So I could target this audience right now, set this up as my ad group, and you're going to see the impressions are usually pretty limited for custom intent audiences, which is a good thing. It means you're reaching a very targeted group of people who are going to be the most relevant based on your products and services. So 20 million weekly impressions compared to some of these other audiences really isn't that much. So you should be targeting a good group of people with your ads. So we'll get rid of this for now and we'll come back over to browse. And what I want to go over first are in-market audiences. So under here, you're going to see what they're actively researching or planning. So if we click on this arrow here, you're going to see auto-created custom intent, in-market, and life events. So just to go through life events very quickly, it's pretty easy because there's not a ton. Business creation. So if we come down here, recently started a business, starting a business soon. So college graduation, job change, marriage, moving, purchasing a home, and retirement. So some different options there in terms of life events. So even if you're someone who does retirement planning, for example, you can come down here to retirement and say someone who is retiring soon, I want to send them ads for retirement planning services. So you could try to reach people who are going to be the most likely to be interested in your services. So that's life events. So you can reach people as they're going through specific life events. Now, one of the main questions I get is, can I combine multiple audiences? Unfortunately, you can't say, okay, what I want to do is find people who are in the market for arts and craft supplies and who are also going through a life event of business creation. When you select these two separate audiences, it's going to target both of them within your ad group, but it's not going to say that someone needs to be part of each individual audience. It's going to say, if you're in the market for arts and craft supplies, then someone might see your advertisement, or if you're going through the life event of business creation, someone also might see your advertisement. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll separate these out, or I'll just group close audiences in the same ad group. But if I'm targeting each one of these, for example, I would create probably separate campaigns, but definitely separate ad groups to target these different types of audiences. Whereas if I'm doing business creation, for example, I can say I'm going to target these three audiences within this ad group. So we're going to get rid of these for now, these different life events and different categories we've selected over here. So now what I want to go through is in-market. So if we come here to in-market, you're going to see all these different broad categories. And within each category, there's more subcategories that are going to be closely aligned with what people are looking for. So we'll come down to the bottom and we'll look at travel. If we click on the drop down here, you're going to see air travel, bus and rail travel, car rental, cruises, hotels and accommodations, trips by destination. So I can come down here to trips by destination, come down here to trips to Europe, and I can say people who are currently in the market looking up a trip to Brussels. Someone who's currently in the market looking up a trip to Amsterdam. If we keep scrolling down, I can say someone who's looking up a trip to Iceland right now, I can target them with my advertisements. So you can use these in-market audiences, and you're going to see 25 million weekly impressions, and I'm going to be reaching people who are actively researching trips to Iceland. So this is a great audience to use if, for example, you are a hotel in Iceland, you want to reach a group of people who are actively researching Iceland. You can target them with your display advertisements, and you can also use these in your search campaigns as well. So this is in-market audiences. You're reaching people as they're in the market for something. And if you can't find exactly what you're looking for, you could always come over here to search. And if you do a search, you're going to find some of these different ideas. So just to come over here to search, and we'll just say Iceland, for example, you're going to see there's going to be some auto-created custom intent audiences. So you can come here and say, I want to target Iceland or flights to Iceland, Iceland vacations, Iceland travel deals, and then we'll keep coming down, and at the very bottom you're going to see in-market trips to Iceland. So I could target these four audiences within this ad group, and you're going to see my weekly impressions are 41 million. So I'm going to target people who are currently looking at Iceland travel deals, vacations, flights, or just specifically trips to Iceland. And if you're a hotel, you can target them with maybe some of your hotel deals. It's a great way to reach great customers rather than coming to browse, for example, and to go over Affinity Audiences, come back, Affinity and Custom Affinity. And if we come over here to Affinity again, scroll down, travel, and let's just say I want to target travel buffs, someone who is a luxury traveler. So rather than targeting luxury travelers, which might be someone who's looking to go to Australia, it might be someone who's looking to go to San Diego, California, they could be looking to go anywhere in the world, but they're luxury travelers, affinity audiences. So it's not the best audience to target. And you're going to see here, our impressions went all the way up to 3.6 billion impressions per week just by adding this one affinity audience. If we get rid of it, we're going to go right back down to our 41 million impressions. So having less impressions here is much better because you know you're reaching better audiences for your actual products and services. So these are some of the different options that you have in market, life events, custom intent. I would say this is the best option if you're not going to be using remarketing, similar audiences, combined lists. So with combined lists, I can actually combine two different lists of people and target them. So for example, I can come in here to website visitors and I can say anybody who's converted on my website or all users within the last 540 days. Obviously, I would want to remove all these other options here. So I can combine these two lists and target them within my campaigns. It's also great. So for Surfside PPC, I can use combined lists to actually target people who have maybe viewed a video on my YouTube channel or been to my website. So it helps me expand to more people that have already interacted with my business, and I don't have to target them separately. I can create an audience of YouTube viewers and website visitors and then target them all in just one combined list. So that's another option you have when it comes to remarketing. Okay, so let's come back over here. So this is the best place to be if you want to reach people as they're actively researching products and services related to what you're targeting. Now, one question you might have is which audiences can you target within certain campaigns? So Google Ads leaves it pretty wide open, but if we just come over here to the Google Ads help page for targeting, you're going to see for display campaign types, you can target all of these different options here. If we come down here to search, you can target pretty much every audience besides your custom intent and custom affinity, and you also can't target life events, but you can incorporate in-market audiences within your search campaign, and you have the option to either limit your campaign to people that are in the market for something, or observe people who are in the market for something and bid higher or lower for them when they do search your keywords. Now, video campaigns, you have the option for pretty much everything here. You do get custom intent and custom affinity. You don't have life events, but that's pretty much your only limitation here. So if we come back over here to ad groups, so if we just come to detailed demographics, you're going to see the options parental status. So you can target parents of infants 0 to 1 years, parents of toddlers, parents of preschoolers. So that could be useful for certain companies that are trying to reach parents as their kids reach certain ages. You could target marital status, so single, in a relationship, or married. You can target education, so current college students, and then highest level of educational attainment. So if we come back, last but not least, homeownership status, homeowners and renters. So these are going to be broad groups, but maybe you want to target someone who is a current college student. You can use this here in education and target people using detailed demographics, but it is going to be very broad groups. I went over affinity a little bit. Now, the last thing I want to go over are custom affinity and custom intent audiences, which can be created while you create your campaign. So if you click here on the plus sign, to create a custom affinity, you need to add at least 5 interests, URLs, places, or apps. We're going to click on cancel here, come back, look at custom intent. You can also create this as you're creating a new campaign. So with custom intent, what you do is add related keywords and URLs related to the products and services that this audience is actively researching. So what I'm going to do is come back over to Audience Manager. We're going to come to Tools and Settings. We're going to come down here to Shared Library and go to Audience Manager. And what we can do is come to Custom Audiences and click on the plus sign here to create a new custom affinity or a new custom intent. But to make it a little bit easier, I've already created a custom intent audience here. So if you come to custom intent, what you want to do is just add search terms that you already have in your search campaign. So you're going to see here, add at least 50 keywords, starting with the keywords from your search campaigns. So if you're running search ads on Google Ads, what you can do is just add your search terms here that you're already bidding on, because then you can reach people that are actually searching your keywords. So if we come down here, you're going to see a ton of keywords related to farmhouse decor and rustic decor and farmhouse furniture. So all you need to do is add as many keywords as possible. You can also take keywords from your SEO keyword research. So any of your keywords that you're targeting with your content, you can also add those here. So essentially, you're just trying to find people that are researching keywords that are very relevant to the products and services on your website. So if we click on cancel, that's a custom intent audience. You can target them with your display campaigns and your video campaigns. Now, another option here is going to be custom affinity. Now, I don't use affinity and custom affinity audiences too often. I think they're much better for large advertisers, and affinity audiences were specifically made for TV advertisers to have a list of people that they can target that are going to be in more broad interest groups. They're going to be related to the types of products and services that they sell. But what we can do is if we click here on Affinity Audience, what you can see is I've added 23 items. So this is a farmhouse decor affinity audience. And if we come down, you're going to see apps. So I found some different apps that are related to farmhouse decor. And then I added Birch Lane, Jocelyn Main, and Wayfair. I added some different interests here. So essentially these are just keywords that are going to match to people's interests. And then I added some URLs. So I have my own URL here, farmhousegoals.com, and then some competitor websites and some larger websites as well. So with that, I can click on save and target this audience within my campaigns. Now, what you're going to see is one of the main differences here is if I look at my affinity audience, I have 10 billion to 1 trillion impressions weekly, which means this is a very, very broad audience. If we come over to my custom intent audience using the keywords that I added, I have 0 to 100,000 impressions weekly. So it's going to be very relevant, and I can always expand this keyword list, and it's going to help me expand my weekly impressions as well if I'm not getting enough out of this individual audience. So now if you want to target these different audiences for display campaigns, it's very easy. So you're going to see here, if I create my new ad group, all you need to do is come in here to audiences. I can click on any of these different options here. I can click on luxury travelers, and then I can just scroll down to the bottom and enter my ad group bid, create my ads, create my ad group. So you can make it very easy to target people. Now, the one thing you can do is use targeting expansion. So you can add reach. Google Ads will go out and find people that are high performing audiences similar to your target. So if I'm targeting luxury travelers, what I can do is say more reach. And what that's going to do is it's going to expand this actual audience into more people that are going to be similar to the people that are in this affinity audience, but they're not quite in this affinity audience. So it helps you expand to more people if you want to. Now, the other thing you can do within your display campaigns is you can select an audience like luxury travelers. And then let's just say, for example, for demographics, I want to reach females that are 45 and up. So I can come over here, narrow it down to just female, 45 to 65 plus. And let's just say I want to target parents. So we can just say parent here. So I'm targeting female parents, so mothers, 45 and up. And I can also come in here to household income and just say top 20% of household income. And it's really going to narrow down the number of impressions, people that I'm going to reach. But what you can do is narrow down to demographics. If you know specific people are going to be the most likely to book your luxury travel resort or whatever it is you're trying to promote, then you can also incorporate demographics here as well. So that's one other option you have. You can also add content targeting within your display campaign. I have separate videos about that. I'm not going to go through that. I really just want to focus on audiences in this video. So now the last thing I'm going to go through is using audiences in your search campaigns, which I'm going to create a separate video about this topic, but just to go through it pretty quickly. If I take my search campaign here, one of the things that I can do is I can come into a specific ad group. Let's just say my farmhouse sinks ad group. And you can see I'm just targeting a modified broad match keyword farmhouse sinks. If I come in here to audiences, I can actually target different audiences in here. So right now I have an in-market audience for plumbing fixtures, and then I have a website visitors audience for farmhouse sinks. I'm using observation as my targeting setting, and I can set bid adjustments to bid higher for people who are in my farmhouse sinks website visitor audience, or for people who are actively looking for plumbing fixtures. So people who are in the market for plumbing fixtures. So if I click here, what you can do is add specific audiences to your ad group or to your campaign. And you have two options for search campaigns, targeting and observation. Targeting means that only people in these audiences who search my keywords are going to see my advertisements. If I use targeting, then anybody who is not in this in-market audience and is not in this website visitors audience will not see my advertisements. What you want to do is use observation, because that allows you to get reports for how these specific audiences are performing for your campaign. So over time, let's just say for this campaign, I spend $1,000. I can say, okay, anybody in my plumbing fixtures audience, I spent $200 and they actually converted 50% higher. So what you can do is go in and increase your bids to make sure that people who are in these in-market audiences are going to be more likely to see your advertisements. So that's essentially what the option is observation. You have the option to adjust bids in the table. And you also don't have to worry about narrowing the reach of your campaign or your ad groups, which is going to happen if you choose targeting. So I would recommend choosing observation here, and you can see here they have recommended as well. And if we come in and we go to browse, you're going to see you have all these different options to target these different audiences within your search campaigns. So I can come in here to in market and I can just say, okay, let me say anybody who's in the market currently for home and garden. So anybody who's looking for things for home and garden, I can add them to my search campaign, click on save. In this case, I added it to my ad group, but you can add it to the campaign level as well. And I can say if people are actively researching home and garden products, I want to bid 10% higher on them. And we can click on save. You also have the option to decrease bids. So I can say anybody who's in this plumbing fixtures in market audience, I wouldn't want to do it in this case, but I could come over here and say I want to decrease by 10%. So we're putting a negative 10% bid adjustment, which means if you see the example here, a $10 bid will become $9. So if you decrease it by 50%, then a $10 bid will become $5. So essentially it's just going to decrease your bid for people in these audiences as they search your keywords. So hopefully that all makes sense. It's hard to pack all of this different audience information into one video, but what you want to do is come to tools and settings, go to shared library. In audience manager, that's where you're going to find your remarketing lists. It's where you can upload your customer match audiences. It's where you can see your similar audiences, custom intent, and custom affinity. Otherwise, what you can do is as you're creating your campaign, if you just come in here and you're editing audiences, you can go to browse and you have the options for detailed demographics, affinity, custom affinity, in-market, remarketing, similar audiences, life events, custom intent. And then another option you have are combined audiences. So you can actually put together specific in-market or affinity, custom affinity or affinity audiences, and you can target them all at once, or you can just target them separately. I don't really use combined audiences too often. So that's pretty much it. You might have some questions after this. Again, if you do have any questions, this is kind of the way that I look at it. If I'm trying to really drive conversions and revenue, I stick to the bottom of this list, starting at in-market audiences and down. If I'm trying more to build brand awareness and product awareness, then some of these options at the top will work, and these 3 options would work as well. You can still build brand awareness for people that are in an in-market audience or custom intent or similar audience. I have found that some of these options up here at the top can be a little bit too broad, so keep that in mind as you choose the audiences and the targeting for your campaign. And ultimately what you want to do is continue to test and see what's going to work the best and drive the best results for your individual business. So if you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comments section. Thanks for watching my video today, and make sure you subscribe to the Surfside PPC YouTube channel.